From Nashville, Tennessee and the Nashville Broadcasting Network, it's the You Gotta Love It Show with your host, Keith Bradford. You never know who's going to show up and what's going to happen, but one thing is for certain, you gotta love it. Here's your host, Keith Bradford.
You gotta love it. Hello, everyone, and welcome into this week's special edition of the You Gotta Love It podcast show. I say special edition because my guest has been in this business almost as long as I've been. His name is Dan Knight. He owns Nashville Country Music Magazine, as well as Steam Whistle Records and Management up in Ontario, Canada. He also is a singer, and we're going to get things started this week with one of his songs, and I'll be right back to tell you more about Dan Knight.
There's three good reasons I come here every night. The beer's cold, the band is hot, the people treat you right. There's one thing more that turns me on the dance floor every night. It's you, sweet baby, you dancing fool, moving in that light. Girl, you sure look good to me, y'all. I wouldn't miss a chance to dance with you when you're covered in red, white, and blue. Some women need the stars and moon, but here's where you belong. Girl, you sure look good to me, y'all. Wonder how you got me on the run. Your neon smile shines a country mile, and when the dancing's done, the band goes home and the doors are closed, we'll still be having fun. 'Cause there's a neon sign in my pickup truck saying I'm your only one. Girl, you sure look good to me, y'all. I wouldn't miss a chance to dance with you. You're covered in red, white, and blue. Some women need the stars and moon, but here's where you belong. Girl, you sure look good to me, y'all. Some women need the stars and moon, but here's where you belong. Yeah, girl, you still look good to me, y'all.
I think they had a lot of fun creating that video right there, and Dan did a great job on it as well. All right, while Dan was up in Canada, I believe his wife may have been running the camera. Somebody was. I could hear a young lady in the background from time to time. But the first question that I asked Dan was, do you think the internet plays a big role in the success of your recording artist? And this is what he had to say about that.
Hi, and I'm glad to be on your show, your podcast. I think it's a great thing. Yes, I do agree the internet is definitely opened up a lot of avenues for independent artists. They have a chance to actually get their material heard by the masses. There is so many internet stations right now for every genre. I'm talking country, blues, rock, doesn't matter what it is. There's definitely an avenue for that independent musician to get their material out there. Also, I mean, they have their websites where you can go there, and I mean, they've got, you know, the bio about them, photos, where they're playing, their Facebook, their Instagram, and you could do a lot of different things on a website, which you can direct people to. And I mean, if you're handing out cards, a live performance, you can direct people to the website. Your friends can add their friends, you know, and next thing you know, you've got an audience.
I couldn't agree with you more, Dan. I really, really think you're spot on with what you said for your answer on that question. Let's go ahead and get another one started right here. Do you think we'll ever return to touring and performing in front of large audiences again?
Keith, I love to see it go back to the way it was. COVID-19 has really put a damper on things. But I think COVID-19 is going to fade away. We're going to go back to normal. And we're going to have those big concerts again. And we're going to have the outdoor things. I mean, even down to the little guy doing the campgrounds and, you know, like bars and, you know, live performances of musicians. And, you know, that's what molds our whole system, is having that fact that we could have, you know, take somebody that's just a singer and making them and molding them in to somebody where they can perform and they can become the next stars of our next generation. And that's what I like looking for.
Wow. Well, that sure would be great if everything that you just said comes true. I kind of agree with you. I think we'll finally get back to some kind of normal. But what they're calling the new normal right now is not my way of calling it normal. I don't like it a bit, and I don't think you do either. But let's hope and pray that everything that you just said does come to pass in the very, very, very near future. All right, well, let's get a little comedy going here. I've got some friends called the Moron Brothers, and I think you're going to enjoy this song. It's very, very timely, to say the least. Let's watch.
Folks, I know the whole world's in a serious situation right now, and it's really time for us to try to be kind to one another if we can. But we've got to find humor in everything we do, and I believe the good Lord's got a sense of humor. If you don't believe it, just look at us. But we come up with this song, maybe forget about all your hard times. And the reason we wrote this song:
a merry heart doeth good as a medicine, but a broken spirit drieth the bones.
Whatever you do, keep laughing. Local big store the other day, couldn't believe people was acting that way, all in a hurry, walking around like they's mad. I found out why over in paper goods, them aisles was empty, and there I stood, not even a paper napkin to be had. Then a skid load of Sherman rolled in out of the back like feeding piranhas. They began to attack, pushing and shoving, even throwed a punch or two. Well, them people wasn't raised in the country like me. Toilet paper was a rich man's luxury. I wrote this song, tell them other things they can do. I've used weeds and leaves and a handful of grass, all kinds of ways you can clean yourself. And when the new Sears catalog came out, we'd all glad. In the summertime when sweet corn was ripe, we'd save every cob with a really good white toilet paper. To us, something that the rich folks had. Plants you don't want to use, look them up, you won't be confused. Poison ivy, poison oak, sumac too. The one Burley hates is a horrible thing called stinging nettles. It really stings just about anything else out there you can use. like weeds and leaves and a handful of grass. All kinds of ways you can clean yourself. When the new Sears catalog came out, we was all glad. In the summertime when sweet corn was ripe, we'd save every cob with a really good white toilet paper. To us, something that the rich folks had. Now with all the fake news in the newspaper, I don't get one anymore. But now I got a good use for them. Think I'll get 3 or 4. Stock market report, New York Times, National Enquirer will do just fine. You can read about the royal family while you recline. Use weeds and leaves and a handful of grass. All kinds of ways to clean yourself. When the Sears catalog came out, we'd all glad. In the summertime when sweet corn was ripe, save every cob, make a good wipe. Toilet paper to us was just something that the rich folks had. Now 80% of toilet paper is made in China anyway. Burley said that's exactly how they're gonna wipe us all out someday. Now you know some other things you can do. It'll all work out in the end for you. Sure to wash your hands when you get through. Be sure to wash your hands when you get through. I'm tearing up my old clothes for rags.
Don't use no burlap.
Hey, it's Bonnie Chaffin,
And Steve Quick,
and we're the Bonnie and Quick Show.
and want to remind you about watching the podcast each week here on NBRN. You gotta love it.
Mr.
with
Keith Bradford.
Aren't they something else, those Moron brothers? I'm telling you, who in the world would come up with a song called It Seems the World is Out of Toilet Paper? I think they're just great. I really, really do. All right, let's see what else we can ask Dan here. What are some of the things you look for when making a decision to sign an artist for promotions?
Well, Keith, you know, when I'm going to sign somebody, there's a lot of factors. First of all, they have to be a decent singer. Singers don't have to be great, but they have to be good. That's number one. Number two, they've got to be able to perform in front of an audience. If they can't perform in front of an audience, it's what are they going to do? Just record music and put it out on radio? It doesn't work that way. You know, so you got to have those two factors, but then you got to have the personality. Okay, and that personality's got to have drive and the want to be a star and want to be on radio and want to perform live. All those factors come alive to me, and they all come together. And one of the biggest things is to listen, and learn. And if they're willing to listen and learn, they will go far.
Yes, I do agree. I do agree with everything you just said on that, especially the attitude. If they don't have a good attitude, you can't work with them no matter how hard you try. If they don't listen to you, what's the sense of even hiring you to do it in the first place? Do you prefer to produce recording sessions or perform live?
Keith, I got to be quite honest with you. I mean, I love the studio. I really do. I love mixing. I like to record songs and artists. And but one of the big factors for me is I like performing live. I enjoy performing live. I kind of go into my own little world, and singing to me is like healing. And it's like people want to listen to music and good music because it makes them feel good. And if you can make people feel good, you've accomplished something in life. And I feel when I perform that I'm performing for the people, and I make them feel good.
Yeah, I've always loved the live stuff. My most memorable moments in this business was playing on the Grand Ole Opry. I've played it many, many times as the bass player for Kitty Wells' show. And I have to say, yes, performing live is my all-time favorite for sure. Do you see the music industry opening up to these non-cookie cutter sounding records that we currently call the indie artist, with the indie promotion, the indie way of doing things? It's not the cookie cutter way that Music Row puts out. Do you see an opening coming up where the non-cookie cutter artists and songs will have a place on the radio?
As far as cookie sounding records, I am not very pleased with where country music has shifted to. It's not me. I grew up on the Merle Haggards and the Waylon Jennings and that kind of thing. I mean, I did listen to Kitty Wells and I listened to a lot of different people, but I do also like bands from the era of like Shenandoah and Diamond Rio and yeah. But when it got to the point to me where I started hearing rap in country, I guess as a country artist, I kind of want to draw a line to what I listen to and actually what I look for. As Steam Whistle Records, I want to look for an artist that's actually more traditional end of it. And I don't want to have somebody come to me and say, oh, I got a great song, and they perform it for me, and all of a sudden they go into rap in the middle of it. I don't like it. I don't feel there's no room for that in country music. So, the cookie cutter thing, I think if we could stick to the George Straits and, and learn from George Strait, because there's nobody that fills a stadium like George Strait. I honestly think Texas has kind of stayed in that realm. And I can see Nashville, and I do talk to people all the time in Nashville, that it is reverting back to more of a traditional country song. And the other thing is I'm kind of tired of hearing about my pickup truck, beer drinking, and, my wife doesn't like me anymore. I don't want to hear that. I want to hear uplifting songs. I like stories, and that makes good music.
Once again, Dan, spot on. I think what you said was right, exactly what I would have said if somebody went and asked me that question. I want to thank you so much for being on the show today, Dan.
I hope you really enjoyed our interview, Keith. I know I enjoy listening to you on the radio, and anyway, thank you very much for having me on your podcast, and I look forward to more, maybe later on. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much for being on the show this week, and we look forward to having you on here again real soon. If you're not already a subscriber to the You Gotta Love It podcast, go ahead and subscribe to this channel, and at the bottom of the screen, there's a spot where you can leave comments. We'll see you again next week for the music business. You gotta love it. See you then. Bye-bye.